Hey guys, welcome to Block. I might change that name. I haven't decided yet. It's pretty generic. Yeah, today I want to talk about the Khorne roster. I know a lot of people have already discussed it online, and a lot of the information has already been released. But now we know a little bit more information. We know more about the Bloodspawn, and we know about their Minotaur star player. I just want to get into it and talk about the Bloodborne Marauder. I think that this is a great character. I think that this position has improved from the Khorne roster. Khorne roster is one more armor and 10k more. This cheaper, more versatile player is gonna really help us out because it's going to make the team cheaper, especially with those cheaper rerolls. It's going to leave more room for those positionals. I like them at 50k because I think these guys should be a little expendable. I see them developing into block. Either put those guys on the front line or put the fresh guys on the front line, and the block guys can kind of come in to support. Something to frenzy them into. The other thing I really like is dirty player on these guys. With all this frenzy, you're gonna knock stuff down, right? So even if you're going against something silly like a halfling that you need pows, that's 4 dice. Like the pow's gonna be in there, like at somewhere. So you can walk up and foul, and you can use that same support I talked about. I think it's the best way to run these guys. And at 50k, getting sent off is not going to be that detrimental to your team. You can make up that difference with all the extra strength you've got. I like the Marauders. I think they're perfect here. When I think of Chaos teams and Beastmen, they don't feel like linemen to me. They feel like almost a dedicated blitzer. They feel like a positional. You're really only using that horns once a turn, if even at all. You might blitz with a Chaos Warrior. So most of the time, you're not going to see a lot of benefit from all that horns, and you're paying a premium for all that strength access, the mutation access, the horns, and your team gets a little pricey, so you can't fit everything in. This team doesn't have that problem. I really like how these guys can build out. If you don't go block, you could also do wrestle, and then eventually you can start going towards claw. They don't have strength as a primary, so you're not going to see mighty blow like you would on the other chaos teams. So even though this team is a lot more frenzy and feels more offensive than the other ones, I wonder if the lack of mighty blow across the field might make it a little more difficult to start breaking those armor. But I think this team's going to knock more stuff down, which is why I think that fouling really is a benefit to this team. For the Khorne Gores, I love them. I love Juggernaut on a fresh character, especially a blitzer. There's a lot of times where I just want to break my opponent's line, and I run out there with my blitzer, and I block to a block, and we just sit there. Juggernaut's going to make sure I'm pushing through. Downside is, I hate putting block on guys with Juggernaut. I hate putting wrestle on them. I just feel like there's no synergy there, so it's a problem for me. I think that they need block, but at the same time, I feel dumb putting block on them. I really want to see stuff like Mighty Blow as soon as possible. I want to see stuff like maybe strip ball to really get that ball out of my opponent's hands. I could even see myself giving them frenzy just on top of all that. Just really commit, right? Another thing to keep in mind is that your Khorne Gores are probably going to be your ball carriers. And a lot of people are going to say, hey, you should get sure hands first. But if you're focused on maybe getting more out of that 60k reroll, and you should be fielding a lot of rerolls for that frenzy, and if you're playing right, you shouldn't need them. Hopefully, you are always making sure you're avoiding those frenzy traps. And then you can get extra arms on these guys. Extra arms is going to be amazing because it's not just better for picking up the ball, it's better for catching the ball, which means you can do more effective handoffs and make a better running team. So I really see extra arms as being what I would take first, even over sure hands, just to say, okay, I've got extra arms on 2 of my Khorne guys. They can either pick up the ball, they can hand off the ball, and they can pick the ball up in a tackle zone, which gives them some kind of a dynamic ability. On top of that, you can give them extra heads. Now they're dodging on 2s. You can really kind of develop 2 of these guys to be your blitzers, 2 of these guys to be your ball handlers. I think that's the way to do it because you've got so much frenzying going on with just your line guys. And having 2 ball carriers is good redundancy. That's how I like to run my teams, making sure that I have a backup plan if something doesn't go great. Having 1 thrower with sure hands getting knocked out early, really sucks for a lot of teams. So I like this with 2 of them doing it. You can also develop them in little different ways. Say you give one sure hands, the other one extra arms. Now one can pick it up, hand it off to the other, or give a guy big hand, or give one guy just the 2 heads combo to make sure he's the agility guy that can get around, and the other one's more about picking it up, getting it to the other guy. So, I mean, there's a lot of room to develop these as your blitzers or as your ball handlers. But you have to be careful if you have too much frenzy, and this is something I've talked about a little bit before with the old Khorne roster, is when you start frenzying out, if you go first, you're going to start pushing your opponent's pieces to the side. The goal is to surf them, right? Then you start realizing, hey, all my guys that don't have the best agility are kind of tied up on the sidelines, and I can't go support the center, and my opponent's building kind of a Mighty Ducks flying V right down the center, and I'm kind of busy trying to get these surfs, and I can't go deal with that. So that's why I think with the Bloodseekers, who start with Frenzy, Strength 4, awesome, I don't see them as blitzers. They're lower movement, they're awesome, but I really see these guys getting guard. So I'd say Frenzy, then block, then guard, and then maybe even stand firm. Really, what you want to be doing is pushing stuff with your Frenzy into these kind of staple pieces that are going to work as kind of goalposts that will make it difficult for your opponent to navigate around your team as you're fencing stuff, not to the sides, not for those surfs, but inward into these like killing fields where you have a clump of things you've pushed towards your Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker gets to throw a block. I really feel like that's the way to play this. It's almost like these death magnets you've got deployed on your side of the field rather than playing a game where you're, and this is something I do with Norse as well, where you're pushing too much stuff to the sides and you're just not controlling the pitch. So with all this frenzy, I think the goal is to keep your stuff together, keep your stuff supported. Don't go frenzying off into the sunset and lose control of what's going on. Really try to keep them together, get them to support each other. Strength 4 piece with that armor 10 plus. Once he gets guard, I think those Bloodseekers are really going to be effective to kind of just give you that advantage to let you just start kicking ass. Bloodspawn I hate. I hate it. It's 160k. It comes with, and I've said this before because I said it with the werewolves. Claw and Mighty Blow don't stack like they used to, but they do synergize. These are both good skills. Just because your Claw isn't getting the benefit of Mighty Blow doesn't mean that Claw knocking down the armor and then getting +1 to injury isn't really good still. It is. It also gives you different targets. You can target something with high armor because it's got Claw, or you can hit like an elf and then watch that Mighty Blow really tear into him. It gives you those options. But man, at 160k, at movement 5, and low armor, same armor as like a Rat Ogre, I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, it's 10k more than a Minotaur, and it's not as fun as a Minotaur. It doesn't have the horns and the frenzy that's really making sure those casualties are happening, that you get to break armor. This guy's just got regular 1 attack, Mighty Blow +1. I don't like him, and because he's taking so much of your bankroll, you're going to reduce the amount of positionals you can get. You're going to not get all the rerolls you need. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. I think it's a hard pass for me on the Bloodspawn. I think he's bad. I'm sure some people disagree with me. They'll say that, the more damage I can do, the better. But again, this team isn't Chaos. Chaos is really your Mighty Blow everywhere, start kicking ass, Minotaur going on a rampage. This team is much more of a finesse team. It's you got to be more careful. This is more of a plotting, guard, controlling the pitch kind of team. You don't need a big, inconsistent, unchanneled fury, which is basically the old wild animal, like failing and sitting in the middle of the pitch. You need your team to be consistent because there's so many kind of random, inconsistent things happening already with all the frenzy. So skip on the Bloodspawn. Really focus on getting those Khorne Gores and Bloodseekers. You can get 4 Khorne Gores and 4 Bloodseekers, 8, 9, 10, and then 3 Marauders, and 2 rerolls, and a dedicated fan for $1 million gold. It's giving you a silver platter. Here's the roster. This is what we're running. I think I would take that every time. For goofs, I might take the Bloodspawn. Save yourself the money from going to Forge World, which is going to cost you, I don't know, $50, $75. And just run that. I know that the box comes with just 2 Khorne gores, which is kind of a bummer. I think their issue is just they can't fit it all in. There is a booster, but obviously the booster is also Forge World. You're getting some new sculpts, and they're all pretty cool, but again, kind of expensive. So, yeah, work it out however you can, or just, borrow a couple Beastmen or werewolves from somewhere else. The Khorne gores look like a Beastman dog cow. Like, I don't really know what they're supposed to be, but they look awesome. I think the whole team looks really awesome. So, yeah, I'd go for it. I think that's my suggestion there. The other thing I wanted to just full on complain about is Grashnak Blackhoof. I'm an old Beasts of Chaos player. I played Beastmen for 20 years. I love them. I've got thousands of points of them in storage somewhere in my basement, covered with my girlfriend's holiday decorations somewhere. I love them, and I've always wanted to field a 2 Minotaur all Beastmen Chaos team and just play him as Beastmen. I always thought that's my dream, and I could never afford Grashnak. He's always costed like 300 and something K, like really expensive. The new one, down to 240. I love that. He's strength 6 with horns, that's strength 7, so he's up there with Deeproot as the strongest thing in the game. But man, he's got Mighty Blow +1, which kind of sucks. He's not that strong. Frenzy like a normal Minotaur. Thick Skull, also like a normal Minotaur. Thick Skull, something the Blood Beast does not have, so he's not even going to be as consistent on the pitch. Bums me out. Don't like the Blood Beast. The problem I have with Grashnak, he's got Unchanneled Fury. He's got the old Wild Animal rule, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because the whole reason you would take these kind of upgraded, stronger big guys that are star players is they don't have those neg traits. Like Morgan Thorg doesn't have that neg trait. He doesn't have Bonehead. Deeproot doesn't have Take Root. All of those guys, even the old Ice Pelt Hammerblow, whatever the Yeti was, didn't have that Unchanneled Fury, that Wild Animal. So that this is on Grashnak is really strange and really makes me not like him. Just same with the Blood Beast. If I'm going to take this big star player, I want him to be consistent. I want him to get his worth in. And at 240, that's a lot. That's a lot to invest. I'd compare him to something like, what is the Zote? So the Zote is 230, so it's 10k cheaper. Strength 5, movement 5, which I think is a little slower. I think Grashnak is movement 6. So he's fast for a Minotaur. The Zote has Juggernaut. Same stuff. It's got Mighty Blow +1. Has Sure Feet, so maybe you can actually get that distance. So probably the same speed. But he doesn't have a neg trait. He has Juggernaut. And he has a bunch of other fun stuff, like just Disturbing Presence, Prehensile Tail, Regeneration. And he's 10k cheaper. So I just don't see this guy being worth the cost. The other thing is he has a special rule, just like all the other star players, where once a game during a blitz, he gets to roll an additional die against whatever his target is. So 99% of the time, you're going to roll 3 dice anyway. You're strength 7. A majority of things in the game are strength 3. So yeah, if you hit a strength 4 or 5, you're going to get 3 dice. But you don't have block, man. You don't have Juggernaut. Most of the time, if you're going to hit something that's really important, they're going to have block. They might have blodge. And you've got to roll a POW on that because you don't have anything else. And your odds of doing a turnover and screwing yourself still kind of high. Not only do you have to pass that Unchanneled Fury, you've got to not roll too many skulls. More than Mighty Blow, I think the most important skill in the game to do casualties is block. It doesn't matter how much Mighty Blow you have. And I've said this, I see this a lot. There's a dude named Doombeard Dave. Shout out to Doombeard and the Smooth Jams of Sade. He takes a lot of Mighty Blow and Claw on his Chaos Warriors and goes for most casualties in tournaments. At Chaos Cup, me and him were tied right before the last round at like, I don't know, what was that, like 30 or something? Just by the luck of the draw. I was on table 3, So I was playing against Chaos Dwarves last round. I still got 4 casualties, but I think he played stunties and just crushed me. So it was like 32 to 36 or something, and I got second place for most casualties. No big deal. Also got like 1 person for best defense. Also got like 1 table from top table. I was so close. Anyway, not relevant for this. I think that block is more important because the goal at the end of the day is just knocking people down. And block is going to help you knock people down. I don't see Grashnak, even with all those dice and all that frenzy, as being very effective to knock things down. You're going to see a lot of pushes. You're going to see those skulls. You're going to see those bolt downs on those dice. And that would scare the crap out of me, knowing that he's a loner 4+. And I've got 240k invested in him. It makes me not want to take him. And what a bummer. What a bummer that the Blood Beast doesn't feel as strong to me. And Grashnak, the new star player, doesn't feel as strong to me. I think only one other star player even has a negative trait, and it's Grack and Crumbleberry, where I think Grack keeps Bonehead. I think it's the only other star player, and he's kind of a unique case. Having a Channel Fury in this guy, really strange. Not having Juggernaut, really don't like that. I really wish he had just something to make him more effective at knocking stuff down or hurting things that are knocked down. The goal here is you just drop tons of dice, and knowing how dice roll, I think we all know you just can't depend on them. You need those skills to make sure that you can mitigate bad results on dice. So, yeah, I hate him. I love him to death. Don't think I'd field him. Same with the Blood Beast. Rest of the team, oh man, I have to say, the 60 key rerolls really, really came out of nowhere for me. I thought for sure these were going to be the same as the other ones at 70, and I thought, man, it's going to be hard to fit in all that stuff. But for $1 million, you can get all those positionals and 2 rerolls. That's great. If you decide to maybe drop one of the, I guess, yeah, you could drop just one of the Bloodseekers and get another reroll. And you can start with 3 rerolls. Honestly, man, that's awesome too. So 3 rerolls with this team with all that frenzy might be pretty good. And then you can save it up for that Bloodseeker. The benefit being you're paying 120 for your next reroll, only paying 110 for your next Bloodseeker. So it's a little cheaper. You might get them a little sooner. So think about that in a league. I wouldn't field less than 3 of them, though. I think they're so mandatory, and you really want to get those MVPs onto them early. As far as running in a tournament with this team, it's going to depend. I don't know what tier they're going to be. I'm assuming tier 2, which puts them, I think, beside Chaos. I don't know how they're gonna fare. They're gonna do better than Nurgle, I think, just because of the additional speed, a little bit more staying power. I think they'll wreck elves, but at the same time, I don't think we're gonna be seeing a ton of elves out of the gate, especially in tournaments right now, with kind of the prevalence of Hackflem making Chaos Dwarves so strong, and you're also gonna see a lot of Underworld. I think this is probably gonna be pretty effective against Underworld. Honestly, the Bloodspawn, not a bad matchup for the troll they're going to field. Or even Morg. Like, was it Grashnak Grashnak Blackhoof. He could hunt Morg, right? But he's not going to kill him. Morg's also armor, 10 plus? 11 plus? Yeah, Mighty Blow +1 isn't going to do anything. Honestly, your best bet, try to knock him down with Grashnak, just throw a lot of dice, and then get your little Chaos Marauder guy. Walk up, kick him in the head. I think your dirty player is going to be your most effective way to really get stuff off the pitch. Don't depend on Mighty Blow for this team. Yeah, and that's my opinion on this team. I'm bummed about the Bloodspawn. Comparing him to something like a Yeti, which is, I think, 20k cheaper, comes with Claw as well. Not Mighty Blow, but he does have Frenzy and Disturbing Presence. I think it's just a better deal. I mean, I would take that over the Bloodspawn. Benefit of the Bloodspawn is his agility is a little better. He's agility 2, so he's dodging on a 4+. But a loner 4+, I would never dodge with him. Same thing with the Bloodseekers. They're not like Chaos Warriors, where Chaos Warriors can do a little bit of everything. Kind of like a lower agility vampire. Bloodseekers are more like, I'd say, Black Orc blockers. So they're also an agility 4+. So they're not jumping everywhere. Again, why I think it's so important to not frenzy out of position and try to serve stuff. Try to keep everyone together. Try to get some guard pieces and frenzy kind of inward and really support each other. Kind of think of it like hungry, hungry hippos. You're going out there, you're grabbing stuff kind of like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, and you're dragging them in, and you want to just pummel them when they're in your death pit. I think that's how this team plays. And then if you're really doing well, also consider guard stacks with dirty player when you foul. So you can foul people and you count all the guard players. So yeah, Bloodborne Marauders with foul, Bloodseekers with guard. I love it. I think this can be a really effective team. Yeah, and I'm excited to play them. I'm gonna buy them as soon as I get a paycheck, and then I'll see if I can afford this plus the new Grebo Chaos Dwarves. I've been planning on a Chaos Dwarf team for years, and then I think this is the one to do, and it's one to get. And I want to get that Dungeon Bowl. Man, the Christmas is gonna be brutal. Not as brutal as this team though. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think the Bloodspawn kicks ass and I'm just not thinking right and I don't know how to apply it. Let me know if Hoof Black is deceptively good, even though I don't think he is. And leave a comment below. And thank you so much for listening. This has been Block for ever how long I'm going to keep calling it Block. I don't know yet. We'll see. Thank you so much for listening.